रुख करेंगे इस्लामाबाद का, जहां तर्जुमान दफ्तर खारजा डॉक्टर मोहम्मद फैसल की मीडिया ब्रीफिंग जारी है।
Rights and humanitarian situation in Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The statement underscored the extremely worrying human rights situation in IOJ&K, and especially following the decisions taken by India on August 5, 2019. The statement also stated that consistent with the UN Charter, the Security Council resolutions and human rights standards and international law, the international community should ask for 1. Respect and protection of fundamental human rights of the people of Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, especially the right to life, liberty and security. Secondly, immediate lifting of curfew, the communications shutdown and release of arbitrarily detained persons. Thirdly, immediate halt to the excessive use of force, especially the use of pellet guns, access for human rights organizations and international media. Fourthly, implementation of the recommendations of OHCHR's Jammu and Kashmir reports. There are two, one you got last year and one this year, including the establishment of a UN Commission of Inquiry to investigate the egregious human rights violations. Fifthly, regular reporting by UN High Commissioner for Human Rights on Jammu and Kashmir. Lastly, support for a peaceful resolution of Jammu and Kashmir dispute through the implementation of UN Security Council resolutions. Pakistan welcomes the comments made by UN High Commissioner for Human Rights during the 42nd session of Human Rights Council in Geneva. We believe that UN High Commissioner's concerns and calls are consistent with the position taken by UN system vis-à-vis the human rights situation in Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, including the continuing restrictions and crackdown on fundamental rights and freedoms of the Kashmiri people. We also appreciate the statement by EU in Human Rights Council, which said that EU had been following the recent developments very closely. The EU has encouraged Pakistan and India to avoid further tensions and refrain from provocations as a line of control, and urged both parties to engage in direct dialogue with a view to peaceful solution in line with UN resolutions and the bilateral agreements between India and Pakistan. Pakistan has also noted with appreciation the Chinese statement that said that with regard to the Kashmir issue, China opposes any unilateral actions that complicate the situation and give rise to new tensions, and hopes that the relevant parties will exercise restraint and avoid further escalation of the situation. China also took note of the two reports of OHCHR on the situation of human rights in Jammu and Kashmir. The human rights of the people in Jammu and Kashmir should be respected and guaranteed. Let me also inform you that Turkey has appreciated UN High Commissioner's remarks on Jammu and Kashmir and reiterated her call on the Indian government to ease the current restrictions in the region, saying A. The decision of Indian government to abolish the special status of Jammu and Kashmir is against the spirit of various UN Security Council resolutions. B. It bears the risk of further deterioration of the existing tension and may have serious repercussions beyond the region. C. Expressed the desire that Jammu and Kashmir dispute is resolved through peaceful means on the basis of relevant UN resolutions. Malaysia also expressed concern on the human rights situation in Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir and urged all parties to negotiate a peaceful solution in accordance with the UN resolutions. All these remarks and statements at the UN Human Rights Council overwhelmingly validate Pakistan's position on the worsening crisis in Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Therefore, India should stop misleading the international community and fully respect the right to self-determination of the people of Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. As part of continuing diplomatic outreach since our last briefing, Foreign Minister Qureshi has held telephone conversations with Foreign Ministers of Sri Lanka, New Zealand, South Korea, Iceland, Iran, Bangladesh. The detailed press releases in these regards have been issued. On 7 September, the Foreign Ministers of Pakistan, Afghanistan and China held the third session of China-Pakistan-Afghanistan Foreign Ministers Dialogue in Islamabad. The three sides noted with satisfaction the progress made under the trilateral cooperation since the second dialogue held in Kabul on 18th December. They reiterated their resolve to further deepen various strands of trilateral cooperation. Furthermore, the Foreign Minister held bilateral delegation-level talks with his Chinese and Afghan counterparts on the sidelines of this meeting. On 4th September, His Highness Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Foreign Minister of United Arab Emirates, and His Excellency Mr. Adil Al Jubair, Minister of State of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, paid a joint visit to Pakistan. In their meeting with the Foreign Minister, the situation in Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir was the major focus. The Foreign Minister prized the two dignitaries in detail on Pakistan's concerns over the deteriorating human rights and humanitarian situation in Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The visiting ministers underlined the strong bonds of Saudi Arabia and UAE with Pakistan and the strategic salience of their relationships with Pakistan. They reaffirmed their strong support and solidarity with the people of Pakistan. With regard to the situation in IOJ and K, the ministers took full cognizance of Pakistan's perspective. It was agreed to work closely in OIC and other forums. And I thank you all. We can take the questions. That's up.
अभी ये तालिबान के और अमेरिका के मुअत्तल हुए हैं, मनसूख हुए हैं मुज़ाकरात, कहा जा रहा है मसला कश्मीर के ऊपर क्या असरात इसके मुरतब हो सकते हैं मुमकिन तौर पर, और आप लोगों ने क्या इसकी तैयारी की?
को फॉलो अप जी इस पर
जी सर, एक साल से ये सुन रहे थे कि अमेरिका तालिबान मामलात तय पा रहे हैं और हतमी मराइल में आ चुके हैं, लेकिन सारी सूरत हाल एक बार फिर धराम से नीचे आ गई है। तो आप क्या समझते हैं कि इसमें किसी की नीयत के ऊपर शक किया जा सकता है? पाकिस्तान इसको किस तरह से देखता है? थैंक यू।
नहीं, अच्छा जी। Pakistan learned about the cancellation of meeting between the US President Trump and Taliban leaders at the Camp David. Pakistan wants all sides to exercise restraint and refrain from violence. We have encouraged and facilitated the Afghan peace process in good faith and as a shared responsibility. We shall continue to monitor the situation and urge all parties to return to the negotiation table to take the progress achieved in the talks so far to its logical conclusion. Secondly, Pakistan has always maintained that the only solution to the Afghan conflict lies in a politically negotiated settlement led and owned by Afghans themselves. A military-focused approach has failed to render the desired results. We remain hopeful that the peace talks between the United States and Afghan Taliban would be resumed at the earliest, and process will lead to intra-Afghan negotiations which are imperative for finding durable and sustainable peace in Afghanistan. We hope that the momentum so generated will be maintained by the international stakeholders for a peaceful outcome in Afghanistan. Ji Rashta.
थैंक यू सर। सर, आपने अभी जिक्र किया अपने ओपनिंग स्टेटमेंट में कि सऊदी और यूएई फॉरेन मिनिस्टर्स जो है
इस वक्त तर्जुमान दफ्तर खारजा डॉक्टर फैसल की मीडिया ब्रीफिंग जारी है। उनका कहना था कि आलमी इदारों को मकबूजा कश्मीर की सूरत हाल का नोटिस लेना चाहिए। भारतीय फोर्सेज की जानिब से शहरी आबादी पर बिला इर्साल फायरिंग का सिलसिला जारी है।